Okay, team. Rocketman. We haven't got any glasses. We need Elton John glasses.
I have my pink ones.
Sorry, we are absolutely destroying yet again Elton John's absolutely beautiful oeuvre.
Mum is.
The Popcorn Junkies are going to review Rocketman, the new film by Dexter Fletcher. Now, I feel like with this film, for some reason, we have quite a bit of skin in the game in a weird way. Do you feel that? Historically, there are links with Dexter. You sort of fond family memories. I knew
Dexter extremely well because he went out with my daughter for years.
Went out with your daughter?
My daughter, my sister.
Right, oh my God, I was totally unaware of that fact.
The last time I saw him was about 4 years ago when I was taking over from the Lorraine show.
In fact, I can tell you it was exactly 8 years ago.
Oh no, the last time we saw him was last night.
Not yet.
Was it 8 years ago?
8 years ago, 2011, his first film, Wild Bill, came out.
That's right, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved Wild Bill.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him about it on the Lorraine show.
So you've got clearly family connections with Dexter. There's also a friend of yours who works for Dear Elton.
Yeah.
And my biggest man crush on the planet is Elton John.
Oh my!
I mean, you can't get more skin in the game than my skin in the game.
And Maddie's skin in the game.
And Maddie's skin in the game is?
She's the next generation of Elton John lovers.
Exactly, thus proving that Elton John's music is timeless. It's his 5th directorial feature film, Wild Bill being his first. Sunshine on the Leith was his musical set in Scotland. Oh, yeah. Eddie the Eagle, which we didn't see. That was Taron Egerton as well. But interestingly, Bohemian Rhapsody, which unfortunately me and Nadia did go on record as saying we weren't particularly big fans of, but I'm really relieved to see that Dexter was only responsible for the last 2 weeks of filming on that.
That's not true.
This isn't about Bohemian Rhapsody.
This isn't about
We have reviewed it and it is on our playlist if you'd like to watch
absolutely. We weren't enormous fans of Bohemian Rhapsody, and I think if I had any concerns going into this film at all, it was that it was going to be another rendition of another very significant, famous and important musician, life of a rock star. But I did find the sort of rhythmic thing of story, song, a bit predictable. So explain, we saw it in remarkable conditions, didn't we, last night? It was a lovely...
Yes, we saw it at the Rocketman premiere.
We went to the premiere. And
we still got our premiere hair.
And a few bruises were had.
2 bruised knees.
Yeah.
Because on the way in I tripped over and smashed my knees.
And you've wanted to kind of kick that into the long grass. But I'll tell you what, just for once, we're going to cut out of this review and we're going to show it again. Oh my God! Nadia! There it is. Did you see what a remarkable recovery she made?
Dexter was just round the corner, me not having seen Dexter for years, and then he comes running across over on the carpet and says, I saw your thingy, your reaction.
Oh, your reaction to
the trailer, so that's why I've made sure you're here. So that's why we were invited to the premiere, because in the reaction to the trailer, I said I was a bit worried about Elton John.
You said you were a bit worried about it. I said I was extraordinarily excited.
Yeah, I'm happy because in that trailer I was like, I'm gassed, mate.
I'm gassed, mate. Yeah. So we were all right. Dexter didn't have any beef with us, but thankfully, because Nadia was a bit sort of circumspect, we got an invite to the premiere. So starring Taron Egerton, who we're fans of from The Kingsman. I haven't seen Eddie the Eagle, and
I saw Eddie the Eagle.
Did you? And was he good in that?
Yeah. He's a good impersonator. I mean, he looked completely different in that.
Did he? Yeah. It's also got wonderful supporting parts with Richard Madden, obviously from The Bodyguard, Jamie Bell, who we all know from Billy Elliot, and who's soon to be coming out in a film called Skins. Look out for it. It looks remarkable.
Trailer for that, guys. We've actually done a reaction.
You'll
to
love that, Mandy. And of course, our absolute flavour of the moment, who I've got an enormous man crush on.
I thought you meant to say favourite.
Oh no, flavour of the moment. And he drove past us at the end of the premiere, and I nearly threw myself on the front of the car.
I know.
Stephen Graham.
Oh my God.
We're obsessed with Stephen Graham.
We're obsessed.
Literally obsessed. If anyone involved with the production of Rocketman is watching this, can you please send me a piece of paper that Stephen Graham's kissed? And I forgot to mention, terrible omission, Bryce Dallas Howard is also, in the cast playing Elton John's mum. So Rocketman, the story of Elton John's life. Now, not up until now, not the story, it's not the full story. I believe it's up until just before he meets David Furnish. David Furnish being his husband and also the co-producer of this film. The story it basically tells the story from crib to middle age, doesn't it? And the device used for this, which is coming for a bit of stick actually, was the conceit of Elton John crashing into an AA meeting.
Which was a great entrance.
Which I thought was a brilliant start
I'd
to the
love to know
film.
if that was the truth. Did he arrive in his
Well, you know
costume?
what? What I loved about, I mean, you're kind of jumping ahead a bit, but one of the things I liked about this film was there were many moments where I thought, what's the veracity of this? Is this really how it happened? And then there were many moments where I thought, I don't care.
Yeah.
I absolutely didn't care.
Magic realism.
What did we think of that device? Did you like
I loved
the AA meeting?
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very beginning of the film, when it first started, I was a teeny bit worried. I loved his entrance.
Yes.
I loved that it was in an AA meeting.
Yeah.
And I was fine up until, you know, the bit where he kind of looks at his younger self.
Yes.
And starts singing. I had a moment of like, this is
Yeah,
a
well,
little bit cringy.
Yeah.
And then I started to settle into it a bit and kind of accepted the fact that it was a bit cringy, and I was absolutely fine with it.
Yeah.
So at first I was a bit like,
It's funny you should
And
know.
you are, because I got nervous that bit because
Yeah, I
I
did.
know how sensitive Maddie is to. Because you do have incredibly good taste, you
Yeah.
really do, and taste way beyond your years. And I thought, how's she going to feel about this? Whereas I immediately, because I was really nervous about it because I hadn't liked Bohemian Rhapsody, I thought, please, I don't want to go down that same route. Whereas it was like high camp, and I thought, hang on, but it was authentic high camp.
But-
and I felt quite settled.
but I loved his delivery of all the lines and everything.
Yes.
How he sat down and said he was an alcoholic and everything. I liked how he shouted it, because it was almost like he was a bit embarrassed, and he said it like it was kind of a joke, but it was. And he was obviously crying as well.
I thought his performance. It's funny you should say that, because you've got him in such extreme close up, Taron,
Yeah.
in those shots.
Which I like that
And I
choice.
really like those. I mean, I'm a big fan of the extreme close up, and I thought in those extreme close ups, it did a really successful thing for me. It forced me to accept him as Elton John, and so I did forget. I mean, because you were so immersed in his face. I mean,
I totally thought it was Elton John.
yeah, exactly. I've heard Elton John say this a lot, and it's easy to be said. It's a film
Yeah.
about him, and Taron
Yeah.
plays me, and I think Dexter very cleverly, by throwing you so into Taron's face, he disallowed you to query
Oh, interesting.
his sort of qualification in a sense. And so when those words came out, and because you were in an AA meeting, gives me goosepimples to say it, because I am in recovery myself, I thought there was real authenticity to how he played that scene. And yet, of course, the whole thing is fucking ridiculous, because then he sees himself as a young child. And you're right to home in on that as a significant moment, because for me, I had a moment where my sphincter muscle went,
Where are we going here?
where are we going here?
Are we
And
gonna
then
cringe?
but what again, and I think again this is Dexter that did this, it had the courage of its convictions. It just went, fuck it, this is what this film is.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
And at that point it was like, all right,
But
this is what we're in for.
Yeah.
But the actual setup with the other actors who never said a word, it felt a bit egg to me.
Did it?
And I don't know what I was keen to ask, because we never talk about films until we're doing the review.
Well-
I was keen to know what you thought about that from a director's
Yeah.
point of view.
The AA room.
Yeah, it felt a bit soap opera.
I had the same problem with all the other people sitting around.
But can I say the really interesting thing about AA meetings is they're just like that.
Oh, right.
They're
okay.
really eggy. I mean, anyone else who goes to an AA meeting, they're pretty eggy.
I think that's true. Whenever I see a meeting in a film, I always go, oh
Yeah,
my
I always
God.
feel the challenge for me is I've always wanted to make a film of monologues about people talking in AA. And the one thing that when I make the decision to want to represent it is I don't want to show anyone else in it, because it's almost impossible to show the rest of the
show the
room.
others,
Because the
right.
rest of the room,
it's
anyone
quite a
sitting there
difficult choice.
listening to someone sharing is a bit wanky.
I felt it was, obviously I've never been to an AA meeting, but I felt like it was eggy in a different way.
Oh, right.
You know when you see like AA meetings in other films, for
Yes.
example, and
Like in Patrick Melrose.
yeah, or like in A Star Is Born and stuff, they kind of got their heads down and there was one person I always looked at that was sitting in the AA room who was smoking a cigarette. I don't know, they kind of sat there as if they were about to get up and start singing and dancing, and it made me feel a bit like.
Yeah.
But obviously, it didn't really bother me. Like
No.
I said, that first moment of cringe I had when he kind of looked at his little self and started singing. That was the only moment of cringe I had in the film, because after that I was just like, okay, like
We're in.
that's-
We're in.
it's
We're
what
in
it
and we're
is.
off.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so how did you feel? How did you feel all the scenes were rendered? There was that lovely moment where he sort of ran into the suburban cul-de-sac and it was black and white and he was
Loved
in colour.
that.
I thought that was very,
So
very
where
magical.
was that a choreographer and where was that direct? Was that Does the choreographer direct
Well, you will have a choreographer I mean, you work together. But I mean,
I loved it.
He has fun. I mean, and at that point, I thought, oh, this is kind of, I don't mean to use the word sweet in a patronising way.
Had a naivety to it.
It had an innocence to it.
Innocence. But it's weird, isn't it? Because I think it was because it went, now we're going into a musical, now we're going somewhere completely different, whereas with Bohemian, I know we shouldn't keep comparing it, we were led to believe that...
We weren't.
Yeah.
Well, no, Bohemian kept pretending it wasn't just trying to tee up the songs.
Yeah,
and it was.
It
was. Whereas this just
Rocketman
went, fuck it, fuck off. We're gonna. And I thought I've thought about the film a lot in terms of the logistics of making a lot of those songs, because basically they tell his life story up till his middle age. They tell his life story up till I'm Still Dancing. Is it I'm Still Standing, the video? That's where they take his career up to. But they managed to tell his story by basically hitting all of his songs. And now, obviously, all of those songs wouldn't have been written necessarily at those times. But I thought their choice of songs at the points that they came in was spectacularly clever.
Yeah,
because somebody said to me that I'm Still Standing wasn't written after Rehab. It was he wrote it before.
No, absolutely. That's my point. Yeah. Exactly. So we're bringing all of that bearing onto it. But I thought, again, from a sort of musical directorial perspective, and I'm sure Elton will have helped with this, sitting there and slicing up his life and going, well, this is the appropriate song. Using Tommy for, the Pinball Wizard song as a moment for him to transition towards the anarchy of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure these songs were happening at these points in his life, but they seem so naturally to have emerged from those moments and represent those moments that it precisely stopped it from being that Bohemian thing of set up, song, set up, song. It's like we didn't get all the origin stories. They just evolved. They just emerged. They just came, and I thought that was really clever.
It was a modern musical.
It was a modern
bit
musical.
like La La Land was. It was just
It's a good comparison.
Yeah, it just.
You know what? It had the same effect from. I mean, I was moved to tears twice, and I almost tried to hide it from you both because they were moments around when I think about Elton John's journey. It allowed me to really personalise the effort required to stay sober for 28 years. I found it really emotional, but what was lovely about it as a film was it wasn't mawkish, it wasn't navel-gazing, it wasn't sort of, pat on the backy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't woe is me. There was no excuses made, really.
What about his...
I wish I could understand more why his dad hated him so much.
Yes.
Was that just because he hated his mother so much? She was hateful, wasn't she?
She was horrible. What did you both think of the Bernie Taupin Elton John relationship?
I really loved it.
It was
Oh
beautifully
my
done.
God, that
Beautiful.
moved me to tears when he said, I love you, but not in that way.
Yeah.
And what about when he went, well, I haven't got a problem with it, but Gabrielle might.
Yeah. That was a lovely moment.
I loved their relationship.
I loved the first time they met. And they were
That
quite
was
awkward
lovely.
with each other, and then they related on that song, and then they started singing.
Goosebumps, yeah.
Oh, I
that
loved
song together.
That was such a
we
lovely
don't see
scene.
enough about male friendship in
No.
films, and that was really. And apparently, they're still great friends today.
And they've never had an argument.
Absolutely. Though I keep hearing they never had an argument, but they look like they had lots of arguments
Well,
in
no,
this.
they didn't really.
Well,
Elton
no.
blew up at him, but they didn't argue.
That's very true.
Bernie just waited for him.
I thought that scene in the cafe where they met was spectacularly subtle and brilliant
Yeah,
between
it
the
was
two of them.
Yeah, I loved
And it was again really restrained in the way that they just let the two of them play. And what I loved
Natural
about
as well.
it's so natural, and what you realise, and that scene really hammered it home most strongly for me, is how shy Elton was, and how most of his problems really revolved around his shyness. He was an introvert extrovert.
What was that line? When the guy says that we were talking about.
Oh, Christ.
Where he says, you've got to destroy who you are.
You've got to destroy the man you are in order to become the man
You want
what
to
you want
you
to
want
be.
to be. Yeah.
And that was like, well, in the film, it was shown to us as a pivotal moment in his life, and made you think that he'd almost made this subconscious decision then that he was going to drink himself to oblivion, wear fantastically outrageous clothes, and not be Reggie from down the road.
But what I liked about that line, and it's a clever moment in the film, I think, and it works on a couple of levels, is that on the one hand, that's an incredibly empowering statement
Yes.
from that guy. And we would all be led to believe that if you saw that on Instagram today, you'd go, yeah, destroy the man you are in order to become the man you want to be.
It's
But
dangerous.
what you end up thinking and realizing at the end of this film is, like so many things in life, is that unless he'd destroyed himself and taken himself to the edge and absolutely almost effaced the guy that he was, he wouldn't have had the success and made the songs and done the things that
No,
he'd
but
done.
he'd made so many of those songs before he was an alcoholic addict. I don't think that's why he's as
Well,
brilliant.
not even that.
'Cause
you
he's
know,
No, I'm not saying
it's
that,
not
but-
even just the alcoholic part.
No.
It's the changing his name to Elton
Yes.
John. It's the wearing
Yeah.
Yeah.
the outrageous clothing,
Yeah.
which he didn't do before.
Yeah.
It's not just the.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
well, all of that. No,
Self-destruction.
but I would say that he blossomed and found himself in that. But the destruction, trying to destroy who he was with the drink and the drugs, nearly kill him. And he's been 28 years sober, and he's still absolutely bloody brilliant.
I thought Jamie Bell was brilliant. I leant over at one
He's
point. I thought he
cracking,
played
isn't
it
he?
absolutely beautifully. I thought, I don't know.
I
I
didn't know
just
it was him.
no, I know. I know.
I really didn't know
No,
it was him.
no.
Wow, I mean, he's going to be a great.
Oh, absolutely.
He's going to win Oscars and.
Now, a
Yeah.
big thumbs up from me, because one of the other big things going into the release of this film that a lot of the critics were kind of already lampooning for is it going to be a 15? Are they going to take things a little bit further than they did? Is it going to be sugar-coated like Bohemian? Are they? And I know Dexter came out firing with both guns, really, saying, yes, it is going to be much more in your face and honest. And I thought they did it well. I thought, the sex was in there. You got to see, he was a sex addict. You got a sense of that.
You've got the drugs.
You got the drugs.
sex.
But I
Yeah.
said I liked how they showed the sex addiction.
Yeah.
It was that kind of sequence of him
Oh, being-
dance and
then
being
passing over the
thrown
body,
around,
yes.
rather than actually showing like
Yeah.
just loads and loads of
There's
sex.
a quite intense sex scene with him
And Richard Madden.
Madden.
Yeah. And I thought it was very...
What that was like for
I
Elton,
thought that must have been-
watching
yeah.
himself have sex with Richard
What
Madden.
would it be like for David Furnish?
No, but being a sex addict,
No,
would
I
that have
know.
got him in a terrible state?
Let's not go there on so many levels.
weird.
On so many levels, that's cute.
Well,
Place
watching
to
himself.
confusing.
I don't
but
wanna
also-
know about
but
that.
also snorting the cocaine, drinking
No.
the... Because there is something in recovery called euphoric recall.
No,
where
absolutely.
You go back to
It's
a
funny, I had a
place.
few moments where I thought, I wonder if this will take him back to a
That's
place
what I
where it
mean.
worked. And there was a moment where he said in the film, it worked for me. I had a great time.
Well,
You
everyone does.
No, but you
No,
rarely hear, when you hear it's rarely said or safely said in recovery speak. You're not allowed to talk about the great attributes of it. You're not allowed to talk about that was frowned upon if you say, actually, I had a fucking brilliant time.
Yeah, he says
Yeah.
I enjoyed every minute of it.
I enjoyed
is
every
what he
minute of
says.
it. Yeah. Of course,
Of
Stephen.
course, then we were shown that he didn't.
No, of course. What about Stephen Graham?
Oh.
Well, he can do no wrong.
The minute he
come-
was on the
He
screen.
can come round
minute-
ours anytime.
Yeah.
Fancy nice roast
Yeah.
dinner, come round ours.
The
love.
minute he was on,
Oh, sorry, boss.
Yeah, sorry. We can't repeat most of his lines because most of the expletives
Don't
in the
give
film
yourself
come from his.
neck ache, sucking your own dick. I
Well,
love
there you
that
go.
one.
We can't say them, but
Jump
she just
straight
has.
into
I loved that one.
It's such a brilliant
And his
line.
name was Dick.
I know. Yeah, brilliant. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and interestingly, again, I thought he delivered everything that scene meant to deliver in
it was
Bohemian that didn't.
So good.
So I
It
thought
was
that-
so
Don't kill yourself
familiar.
with drugs.
yeah.
It was so familiar
Get
to
some nice
Bohemian Rhapsody,
costumes,
though,
did
The
it?
Office and everything.
But I suppose there is this way with the music business. You
And I
go
love
in,
the- is
you
it
get
tr-
slated, you get told to
Yeah,
fuck off.
yeah, fuck off,
And
make
then
3
you
albums,
realise you can
come
make
back,
some
don't
money.
No,
kill
it's just
yourself.
honest like that.
And did Elton John really decide his name was John Lennon? From
From
John
beginning,
Lennon?
I love.
I mean, that detail has
That
to be
rang
true.
true.
That rang true. And I
yeah.
loved that sort of detail. So it was actually really satisfying me in the way that a documentary would. And
Yeah.
often my worry is as soon as you know Elton John and David Furnish are the producers, you think hagiography, it's only going to be positive, it's only going to be about what they've sanctioned. And then actually, there were moments where I thought, well, actually, no, that's lending a credibility and authenticity to the whole thing as well. Did you feel at any point it got repetitive or that the musical songs were coming a bit too thick and fast?
No.
No, I didn't actually.
No.
My worry was that it would,
Yeah.
but actually didn't feel.
I think
that
if there was
at
any
point,
track
because
that
I
was
like-
going to fall into, that was it.
I like all of the songs as well, so I didn't have a problem with him.
Well, I kept forgetting how many songs. I mean, we said the same with Queen, actually. I just kept forgetting how many songs he did.
Yeah.
With each
got
one
so
that
many
came
hits.
through, I ended up thinking, oh my God,
I love
this
this
is
one. Oh, this is my
Yeah,
favourite because at
yeah.
the carpet they were saying, "What's your favourite?" It was like,
It's
"Oh
like,
my
oh my
god,
God,
'cause
yeah.
everyone- it's so
Yeah. Well, and of course for you, it was I'm Still Standing.
I'm still staying.
Your poor knees. I really like the rhythm. What did we think of its magic realism? What did we think of
I
those
really,
moments
could
of...
have
you
done
know,
with even more.
Yeah, I
I
could.
could have. I mean, because my worry with before we went and saw it, I was worried that the magic realism was going to be too cringy. Kind of.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think one of the first magic realism-y bits was when he's a little boy in his bed and he's like conducting
yes,
that fateful
yes,
I loved that.
I loved it, but at first I was
Right.
like,
But again, it's that moment where you
But,
tried it for the first time.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
going.
and that's
oh.
what I mean. And then,
yeah.
like, from there on,
Yeah.
I loved all the magic realism bits, and I wanted more of them.
Yeah.
I love the one when he goes in the pool and says
Beautiful.
little
That was
version
I
of
love the
beautifully
way all the way
executed.
through the film we were like seduced into the style of it. Like it's like, oh, I'm not sure if I want this, and then it was like,
Yes.
oh no, actually, I'm quite enjoying this.
Yeah. Well,
Because we at the end went, God, I really liked that.
yeah.
Didn't we?
I'm going to be really honest. I thought the film's greatest success was, as I am most times with most films, I'm trying to be really sort of astute and kind of analytical and a bit po-faced and film criticky about it. And it, despite that, kept grabbing me and
Yeah,
pulling me back and
against
going,
your will.
just shut the fuck up and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, against your will.
Against my will. And it kind of, is that not what he's a bit like, Dexter? Because it made me, yeah, exactly.
So
And it
he's
made,
very like his character.
yeah, and I just thought this was a film that was telling you, you're going to enjoy this party,
He's
even if you
puck.
didn't want to come.
I also liked all the added details of him losing his hair.
Yes.
He's going to be as
Yes.
bald as a coot by
No,
the
but
time
it's like
he's 20.
every now and again somebody would like be stroking his hand and they go like this, and then he goes what, and they go nothing. So
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
I liked all of
Yeah,
it.
no,
It
that's
was
it. And,
honest.
and I was really pleased with obviously the extent to which Elton and David Furnish had said, yeah, just go for it.
And can we please just talk about the deep sadness running through it because
Oh.
he was totally unloved as a child.
Don't.
Oh my god,
No
I'll tell
love.
you which scene really broke my heart.
Yeah, go on.
was when he goes to visit his dad again
Oh.
and he sees how lovely
He
the
takes
dad
that
is
watch.
to the
With
new
the other
kids.
boys.
And like how he asks him to sign the stuff like it's
I
not his
wanted
son.
to kill him.
Yeah, me too. But it was just the way
I think his
thought
dad was gay.
Taron Egerton played it so
He did, he played it so well.
beautifully.
Now,
The way he was like gonna cry and then just like completely controlled himself. I just thought
Yeah.
it was absolutely astonishing.
Now, I don't want to be accused of trolling The Guardian's film critic Peter Bradshaw, but Peter Bradshaw said that Taron Egerton couldn't cope or deal with the dark side. He could do the light, but he couldn't do the dark. What an absolute load of nonsense.
That's
Absolute
rubbish.
Absolute rubbish.
If you had to say anything about Taron Egerton's performance, is that he did the dark stuff better than the
I agree.
light-hearted stuff.
I agree. I thought he did. I thought his introspection on those great big smacking close-ups.
Yeah, there wasn't a single moment that I didn't believe Taron
No.
Egerton's performance.
No.
He was utterly committed.
utterly
throughout.
committed and utterly brilliant. So-
And like I've said, that bit where he's getting that baseball suit put on him and he's looking really, really sad, you know, and
At
then
the
puts
Dodger
that smile
Stadium.
on his, every single time I see it, I get goosebumps.
Same here.
It's
It's in the
such
trailer.
an amazing, the way he just completely, with the swing of his bat, he puts that smile on his
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, and I said,
It's
me and
just
Maddie were talking
I
about
love
that
that
shot
troubadour
today.
scene.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that shot, we were talking about that shot today, and in a sense, that one moment manifests the whole film, where he has to go to that place of put the bat on, armed, ready for public
Yeah.
life.
And you know what?
Gosh.
He's 72. He's on a 3-year world tour,
Tour.
doing 3-hour shows
Yeah,
a night.
my friend's already.
He's still doing that.
My friend booked a ticket to see him last year, and it's for his show in 2 years' time.
Bloody
Yes.
hell. Okay,
I
well,
think we just ought to say something about Richard Madden because, of course,
Sorry, of
the
course.
nation is still swept up by Richard
Well,
Madden.
what did we think
I
of
was
it?
never switched.
No,
I
we
was-
weren't swept
I
up
was
by
not
Richard
swept
Madden.
up by him.
No.
Bodyguard, I didn't like it.
What did you think
Well,
of
I
him?
liked him from Game of Thrones.
I thought he played a good villain.
I thought he was good in it.
Not
But-
villain, but you know.
I didn't think he was.
Oh no, I didn't like him in The Bodyguard.
No, but what did you think of him in this?
I think he was good at what he was doing. It was a bit wooden, but I think he is a bit wooden. He's one of those actors that just is a bit wooden, and I
Yeah.
think people like that. I think he's really
Yes.
popular, so he had his place in it. And I think
Yeah.
what he did, he played it. It was a bit sort
Yeah.
of panto villain, but
Yeah,
It
I
was-
didn't like him.
It was a bit wooden, but it worked for the character. I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
he
it
got
did.
away with it.
He was horrible character. I didn't
Yeah.
like the character.
I would've-
He was good enough for me to not like his character.
I would have liked a moment more light because I think with any evil person, you've got to see something so that you don't turn away from them. And it was just a bit one note.
I really believed he liked.
I just thought there were many little moments in it where they didn't, you know, it was quite a scripted film, but at the same time there were many moments of no dialogue. Like, for example, the moment where you realise that Elton and his wife sat at the table, it was
that was
over, and that was just done with them just sitting, with
beautiful.
beautifully
That
done.
was so well done.
Again, another scene just sat at a table with two characters. I thought that was really strong and powerful.
I like Bryce Dallas Howard's face when he gets married to the woman.
Oh
She's
yes,
like-
that was funny. That was funny. And I really liked, I found myself, despite myself, and I don't often find this, despite myself, I found myself enjoying seeing how accurately they were recreating his outfits, which they then in the end
Yeah,
credits
they
showed
do.
you. I found that
Well,
really
I'm sure
indulgent.
Elton was probably very
Loved that.
specific about that.
But that I felt almost a bit sort of strangely autistic as I was watching it. I was sort of thinking, yes, God, yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly as it
Yeah,
was.
I know what
I mean,
you mean.
right down to I thought it was a kind of genius touch to have Taron Egerton's face on the video at the end of the film.
I really, really like. I love that when you see a movie and it's a biopic in a way, and you get the photos shown.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
just love that, and
Yeah.
you've got to stay right to the end of this film because there's some
Yeah.
really nice moments.
Really do.
I
So-
really loved how dark it was as well.
Yes, yeah. Have we
Because
sort
I
of
mean,
said
the
how
first-
dark it
yeah, we saw
was?
The first part of the film's obviously more light-hearted because it's when,
Mm.
apart from his childhood was horrible and everything, but it's not as dark as it becomes.
No.
And I was worried that it wasn't gonna be dark, and I don't want that to sound bad because not like I want to see him struggling.
No, of
but
course.
like the honesty of it and everything.
Yeah.
It became really, really honest.
Yeah, you wanted to be taken down to the depths.
Yeah,
you
like-
wanted to see his rock bottom.
Yeah, like his overdose at the pool
Yes.
party and everything.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
found it so believable as well, the way it was done. It was
Yeah.
like, and my final act, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And then he like goes in. I just thought it was all really well.
Yeah,
well
and
done.
again, that scene, if you think about that moment where he's at the bottom of the pool, they really held that shot on his face.
Yeah.
But, I thought there were just so many great moments of just Taron just exuding Elton
And
to the point that I was watching Elton.
Yeah, and I love that the scene of when he's performing at that for the first time at that LA gig.
Yes, the Dodgers.
And when he floats
Troubadour.
up and then
Oh, the
all the
Troubadour.
audience
Yeah, yeah.
does as well.
Oh, yes,
I
yeah, no,
loved
the
that
Troubadour,
shot.
that's
We
right.
were
yeah.
floating with him. It was really
That
good.
was beautiful.
I loved
Yeah.
that scene.
That was beautiful.
Loved
I
that.
mean, in a sense, like you said, Nadja, I couldn't have had too much of that.
And it's like when he was in the toilet, didn't want to come out, and they said,
Yes.
"Come on, your ticket's been paid for," and you saw him go.
Yes.
You saw that little Reggie.
Yes.
Shit, my ticket's been paid for. I better go
When he
out.
come out,
and
he
then goes out and he's
"Come on, then."
stupendous.
Yeah, I thought
He
it was
goes,
great.
Come on then,
Yeah.
let's go then.
So, Maddie, what would you say to people of your age?
Yeah.
Do you recommend to your friends to see it?
Well, everybody I know is Elton John fans.
Oh, are they? They all want to
Really?
go and see
Yeah.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
My friends and I have gone and seen Rocketman, so they're like, so which is better, Bohemian Rhapsody or
Right.
Rocketman? And I was like, I mean, because
Yeah.
they all like they all liked Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right,
But
right.
then there's a way if you
The whole world liked
liked
Bohemian
Bohemian Rhapsody, would you like Rocketman? Because
Yes.
they're not the same.
No, you would like them.
Would you?
Anyone that likes Bohemian Rhapsody is going to... But the magic realism, some people might find too
Yeah.
much. But I think people will go with it because they love Elton as well.
The only magic realism bit I didn't believe enough or like that much was when he shot off as a rocket.
Oh yeah, that was a bit...
I mean, it was like I got why they did it.
I thought that was.
just a bit-
It was quite Tommy the musical
It
for me.
was.
that
Yeah,
way.
but it wasn't very well
They
done.
should've
No,
done
I know,
it
but in a
better.
weird way,
It was just a bit too 80s.
No,
for
I know
me.
what you mean. Okay, well let's sum up then. Let's-
And I loved the bit at the end credits when they said he's in recovery for 28 years, but it's still he's still got a problem with
I know, he's still got a problem
and
with
it's a photo of
shopping.
him like this with all these bags. Of
I know, that's so funny.
Yeah, there was some nice funny bits at the end.
Okay, so Nad, sum up and give us your score.
Oh my god, I don't want to go first.
Maddie.
I thought that Taron Egerton was absolutely amazing, and I'm still so annoyed that I didn't realise I brushed shoulders with him
Yes.
and didn't even know
On the
about
carpet.
it.
Yeah.
I thought he was absolutely, and I'm so angry that Guardian, what's his face, dude,
Peter flipping
said he
Bradstall.
wasn't good at the freaking dark bits.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I honestly had goosebumps throughout the movie whenever he was, and I thought his voice, his
Oh,
singing,
hang on a
talked
minute.
about the
We haven't
flaming
talked about the fact that
singing.
he sang.
his singing voice. I mean, I didn't for a second
Not-
not believe that it was Elton John.
No.
I just assumed it was Elton John the whole time. And his voice is actually so good.
Well, Elton, like Elton
said.
said, he sang them differently to me, but he said that he sang them in many regards better than I've sung them.
Yeah,
He's such a genius,
he's so sweet.
isn't he?
But it was so amazing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, and I loved all of his costumes. And I thought all of the actors in it were really, they all delivered something. I didn't have a problem with any of the actors in
No.
the film, and they all kind of added something to it.
Yeah.
And I loved all the magic realism bits. I didn't have a problem when they broke into song either. I thought I would. I'd be a bit like,
Yeah, I always hate that moment. My right armpit
well,
starts
there's
to
always
flood.
the first moment when it first starts to happen, like when he was little, when he was kind of a bit older, like I think he was about 11 or something. And when his dad and his mum and his nan started singing at first, I was like,
Yeah.
and then I was okay.
Oh yeah, the Nan.
The Nan.
The Nan was fantastic.
Nan was
she was
great.
lovely.
Nan was great.
Yeah, and like I said, I loved the relationship that they showed between him and Bernie as well.
I thought it was
And
charming.
the fact that he just didn't judge him with, him being gay and everything as well. And I really liked how dark they took it, as well as how it was quite light as well. And I really liked the bit, because at the very beginning when he's a little boy and he goes to his dad, when are you going to hug me? And then at the end of the film, he sees himself as a little boy, and the little boy goes to him, when are you going to hug me? And he hugs him, and I was like, Oh my
Hugging the
God.
child within.
Yeah. So I mean, I could see it like a million times.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't bored for any sec, and I wasn't cringing. I had moments of cringe, but it didn't take over. And I just think that Taron deserves like an Oscar.
Well, if Rami can get one and he didn't sing,
Taron
Taron can get one. Surely.
Oh my God. I'd probably give this a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Wozers, bedozers.
Seriously?
10 out of 10.
That is so rare from you.
Yeah.
I had goosebumps throughout.
Good on you.
Well, as we know, I was very cautious. I really wanted to enjoy it because I'm such a huge fan of Elton John, not just of his music but of his story, and obviously because we are so close to recovery and addiction in this family, and we've had our tragedies and we've had obviously your incredible success.
I was going to say, how did it relate? How did it resonate for you in that sense? Like, you know, because it was doing
Well,
something.
it resonated very deep,
Yeah.
very, very deeply, because obviously there's been real tragedy around, you know, as we know, and in all sorts of different ways. So I found it very moving, more so than I think people will that haven't come up against addiction. I think if you haven't come up against addiction, it will be like really interesting.
Yeah.
But I found it very moving. I loved so much of what they did with this film. I think they owned who they were and what they were. They weren't trying to be anything other than what they were being.
Yeah.
I think Taron was astonishing, and in a way I'm kind of glad that I'd heard these bad reviews about him, because I was just waiting for him to be shit, and then he wasn't, and he really wasn't. It was like, oh my God, he's incredible.
I just can't believe he's...
And I think you're right, Mark, that close-up, I hadn't thought of it like that till you said it, but that close-up disallowed us to think of Elton. He was Elton, he was more Elton, and we were somewhere where Elton actually was, you know.
Yeah.
He was more Elton than Elton. It was a story of love, it was a story of terrible pain and tragedy. It was a story of great male friendship as well. I mean, that was very important to me, that friendship between him and Bernie, and seeing that. It was very comedic. Again, as I said, knowing Dexter, you could feel, I could see a lot of Dexter's personality, because he's funny. And I think, what I said earlier, you know, the fact that you were, I felt like I kept being seduced into it. It was like, oh, hang on, what's this? Why is he flying up? Oh, why are we going here? Why are we going? And then when you just go with it, we just went with it. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah.
What's your...
My marks out of 10 are 8.
Okay. Why isn't it a 10?
Because I gave Star is Born out of 10 and nothing can come close to Star is Born.
Okay. I was unwittingly surprised by how powerful the whole recovery message came through to me. And if I was left with one resounding feeling at the end of it, forget all the film theorizing and all the filmmaking techniques and all that kind of stuff, I came out of it feeling incredibly proud of him and myself. And he made me proud of me. And I thought...
Your recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had... And I thought this film did a remarkably important thing for me, which was it made me feel proud of all the shit that got me to where I got to, as much as it made me feel proud of the shit I've sorted and the shit I still need to sort. And I thought in that...
A kinship then. A kinship.
It made me feel a kinship, but it made me just feel, a sort of kinship of pride, shared experience. I felt like we'd really made theatrical, in a non-sort of dumbing down way, a truly tragic story that happens to so many of us, and has become a spectacular success story. And so I found it bizarrely incredibly inspiring. And it made me run out, and I was thinking to myself, I want to make this film. And that's as much about what I think Dexter specifically has done. And I'd like to know if I don't know if Dexter is in recovery, but it feels like a film where most of the production team involved have a deep comprehension of what it means to be sober and what it means to go on this narrative arc that is a real narrative arc.
I think he is
as well.
I don't know, but I think he's in.
So I thought it was a beautiful film. I thought it was a beautifully structured film. As I said, one of the other things I was thinking about was just on a technical front. I thought it was very cleverly structured. I just have a resistance to musicals in general, and so that first moment I go into that artificiality is always eggy for me. From when my nan used to make me watch Fred Astaire movies, I'd be like, yeah. But but as you said, it's clearly Dexter's style is you don't want to come to the party, but you're going to come through the door and you're going to have a laugh. And you're going to have a laugh. And what did he do? He stood on the stage and he went, you're going to come. And he did that.
If you see us in the street.
If you see us in the street. But he did it. And he just did it. And I found myself kind of taking all my film criticism, head it, and just going, oh, fuck that. This is great.
Really
I thought it was beautiful. Yeah, really good film.
I should be proud of him. I've got nothing to do with
No.
it. But I mean, I feel proud for him, and I think, and really happy for him, because I think he's really done something special, which is it's actually quite a difficult film.
Incredibly difficult.
The story is so vast.
I mean, being able to pin this down, you got all the music, and I thought what it did that Bohemian didn't for me was it just didn't compartmentalize it so obviously. I felt naturally drawn to the joy of the music. The music commented on the story commented on the music, and it became a sort of melange of the two. And I didn't feel like it was narrative song. It became one whole thing. It became a spectacular show about a spectacular man and the spectacularity of sobriety. So I loved it so much more than I thought it was going to. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10.
What?
I'm not going to give it 10 because A Star Is Born is always going to be my 10.
No, but I can't say Star Is Born and Rocketman the same film. I love them both as a
I
10
thought it was
for different
absolutely charming. And I thought right down to the micro details of like the scenes with Stephen Graham, so much more expertly handled than I felt in Bohemian. I thought expertly handled. I mean, you know, there was sort of choices made there in terms of performance and just the way in which scenes were allowed to hold themselves. I just thought it was really, really, really good. And a very complicated film, like you say. It's a very complicated film.
Very difficult.
You know, got to be a bloody addict to make it.
Rocketman!
Rocketman!
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.